Hey guys, it's Todd. Welcome to Personal Development Hacks. I got another special guest today, so sit back, relax. We're gonna have a little bit of fun today, but get some water and we'll get started in a second. All right, guys. So on today's episode, we have a very special guest. This is Lee. Hi, Lee. How are
Hello.
you?
Doing awesome. Thank you.
Excellent. So for the audience out there that either doesn't know you, doesn't know what you're kind of all about, why don't you introduce yourself and let us know?
All right. Well, first of all, Todd, thank you so much for having me and giving me this place to share what is my passion. I'm on a mission to putting what I do on the map to let people know that it's the ultimate hack for life. So, my name is Lee Andrew, and I am a Psych-K facilitator. And Psych-K does not mean psychic. Psych-K is actually short for psyche, and K stands for the key. So it's the keys to the mind. Psyche is actually in the energy psychology field, so it is very neurological. It does have a very good marriage with ancient wisdoms as well as modern neuroscience. So it's an amazing way to help reprogram people's subconscious beliefs. The things that are down under where we don't know what's down there, but they are definitely leading our lives. And that's what I'll go one more into later. But that's what I do. There is a way to reprogram the beliefs that are holding you back and limiting you, maybe having you stuck in sabotaging behaviors. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm about telling people that they don't have to be victims in a prison of these thoughts that just echo, that echo chamber.
Right. So I know a big part of that is like helping people with self-limiting beliefs and doubts
Mm-hmm.
about are they worthy? Are they good enough?
Mm-hmm.
Are they on the right path? So I know personally because before we started recording, I had my own mini session, and I tell you guys what, it is a absolutely powerful thing to go through and kind of just think about and go through and make sure that what you're believing becomes your new reality. Because I certainly did. So we'll get the fruits of that a little bit later today for sure. So what I mean, what obviously with like you said at the beginning, your Psych K, and people automatically think psychic. So what I mean, how what's some stuff that people deal with before they ever come to you with a title like that or with that kind of pre-thought, I guess?
That's a great question because that's why I dedicate so much time to talking about what it is, because the education has to be there first before someone's going to reach out and delve into it because it's so, kind of arbitrary. Like, what is that? So, um, first of all, just kind of talk about where it came from because that's a neat story. And then it also kind of correlates with the people to your question. How do they finally get to Psyche? And I'll answer that first. Is usually when somebody's open to Psyche, they've already tried some traditional things, very traditional therapy, like talk therapy or medications, counseling and coaching, but they've had all the benefits of those things, but feel like I'm still not quite there. I have hit this ceiling of certain behaviors or thoughts that are just nagging me. I can't escape them. All those things I've listed have their place to help a person overcome and evolve, but they still aren't at the finish line. Like they haven't achieved the ultimate feeling or goal that they wanted. And that's when people come to me. I have a lot of people that it's about if they don't know their life's purpose, it's to find that. If they do know their life's purpose, it's like, why can't I do it successfully? Why am I not getting paid for it or getting it on the scale of what I want? So then we find what's in the way and are able to remove those beliefs that are making them not succeed. I've also, when people have dealt with anxiety, I've helped people with fears and phobias, things of that nature, is definitely on the subconscious level. So I'm able to help people when different approaches didn't stick. So that's how somebody lands, because they're just really Googling what will get me out of this state of mind. And they're just more open. They have to be more open. But how Psych got started, it was started back in 1988 from a psychiatrist himself. He was a psychiatrist really getting weary. His name is Rob Williams, of always being able to only diagnose someone and give them a little relief. He wasn't able to really help them completely change, to not be in that diagnosis, right? Not to live it. So it was his own desire to be able to produce a situation that someone can actually overcome and change. He received this download of information of things that he must have picked up along the way. It was all in his subconscious from reading different things, but it just came down as a download of the steps to be able to do it. And it has been changing lives since then. So I just thought that would be interesting for people to know. It started from a psychiatrist himself.
Yeah. So the majority of people, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like the majority of the people that you're dealing with, they're not necessarily like coming to you to deal with a trauma. They're coming to you to level up.
Mm-hmm.
Like and a trauma might be undiscovered or unthought of in the past, and that's what's causing it. Understood. But they're not coming to you specifically to deal with the trauma that has impacted them. They're coming to you to say, I got something in my life that I want this, and I'm only getting this, and I need that gap to fill. So it's all, they've already made the decision, like, to level up and grow their life.
Right.
You're just helping them kind of figure out, like, what either mentally or emotionally or stigma wise is staying away. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, even physically. Absolutely. Like, people, I've had a few that the trauma is what brought them to me, because they are to that exhaustion of nothing else has given me. And I want this so bad. I love myself enough to keep trying something. So something in them keeps them searching. But I would say the bulk of my clients are very growth oriented, or they want their life's purpose. They realizing that they're in a rat race or in a cycle that this is not fulfilling, or it's not hitting the mark that I want to have more. I want to be more of an impact in my life. And so that desire is truly what has them just looking out for different things. And I've had so many success stories. Like, I won't get ahead of myself, but we'll talk about what a session looks like, and then what you can expect from those benefits. But that's the part that I get addicted to, is hearing the opportunity portals that are created from these people's change.
Yeah. So, and I'm glad you said that, because you and I call it something different, right? You call them opportunity portals.
Mm-hmm.
I call them a heads up versus a head down type of thing. My take is that opportunity does not lie on the concrete in front of you. It's out, so you have to have your head up. So give your just quick explanation of opportunity portals, because I love that. Like, I can put myself and visualize like exactly what you're talking about. And crap, I had one earlier in our session when I was going through it, and I'm like, yeah, why am I not going to approach this guy, because he can't say no? So an opportunity portal definitely opened for me thanks to that. So just go through kind of what that, like, just a brief explanation of.
Yes, I would love to. It's definitely one of my favorite parts to talk about. First of all, opportunity portal is a phrase that I coined. It's not an official Psych term. we would in Psych K would call this your action step, because after a session, they're like, what action could you take, or what action would you like to see come and happen from this result? But how it all got birthed is that I kept checking in on my clients after a session. I check in like 24, 48 hours later and just say, have you noticed any shifts in your thinking or your interactions with other people? And they started saying yes, and this happened, and this happened. Like, say, for instance, if it was about their job or their business, they got clients or they got an offer, or they were introduced with a collaboration that they're like, oh my God, this collaboration just came out of nowhere. I had one client who was wanting to change out of a medical field position. And she's like, I don't love it. I just did it because I was raised to think that that's the best thing, is to be in the medical field, but it didn't fulfill her. And so she even got out of being a doctor and then went right into medical sales. And she's like, what am I doing? I don't love this either. And so she came to me, and her opportunity portal right after her session is someone came and offered to buy her business. And not to get too far ahead of myself, but during a session, I get visions. And again, that is not a Psych K thing. That is just my personal gift, because I just sit in silence while the client is processing their beliefs. And I received a vision for her that I said, did you design a shoe or something, some kind of special shoe? Because that's what I saw. And she's like, oh my God, yes, I've never done anything about it. I want to market it and actually produce in, I don't know anything about warehouses and production. I said, just start somewhere. That's what came to me. So sometimes the visions are very allegorical, and they're an analogy of something, and sometimes they're literal. So I don't know what's going to come forth, but that's a cool thing. But opportunity portals, to get back on track, are when you think and feel different, you're going to attract things in your existence that are different because of just mere physics and science. Like, if you act a certain way, you attract certain type of friends and interactions, or you have more confidence and bravery to go do things that put you in front of different situations. So that's how it kind of behind the scenes is happening. The law of attraction's working for you. You are working for you. Your beliefs are working for you. The whole team is now on board to make your belief happen. And so something will come in front of you for you to practice your new belief. So not all the time is that practice going to look rosy and wonderful, like a collaboration or a job offer. Sometimes one of my clients did a balance on trusting herself with money. She's like, I think I don't trust myself how to deal with money, and it's keeping it at bay. So as soon as she did a balance, she got her garage broke down. And she's like, but I didn't panic. I didn't go into the spiral of, oh, it's beans and hot dogs from here because I got to figure out how to do this. She was just I know how to do this. I can figure this out. And she actually got 2 new clients that week. The money wasn't a problem to get for the garage door, but for her, it wasn't even about the money. It was not going into that spiral of, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to take care of things. So opportunity portals will look wonderful, or sometimes they'll just be evidence to prove to you that your mind and your subconscious programming did change. And so that's why I call it a portal. You kind of have to jump through it with your new beliefs to see the benefit on the other side.
Yeah, it's really amazing what shows up in your life when your mind, your body, your spirit, your energy are all, it doesn't even have to be aligned for that opportunity, but if they're aligned, it's amazing how many of those portals start to appear.
Yeah.
And that then becomes the opposite challenge of, you got to say no to some of these.
And that's what the whole belief system will let you align. I feel like you get, like, if you're on the right Wi-Fi network of your beliefs, you're going to get pings, and you're going to get Google Calendar invites from your subconscious of what you really should do. So check in with your feelings, not just everything should be of the mind.
Yeah. Well, it's I mean, Warren Buffett famously said that he says no to 99% of the stuff that crosses his desk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I think it has to do with exactly what you're talking about, like, everything aligned. And then, when they do present themselves, and I talked about this yesterday with the guests, is you have to run it through like your core values as well, to determine, is this opportunity portal a test to see if I'll do it,
Mm-hmm.
or is this opportunity portal a test to see if I'm gonna run it through my core values and then take action?
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't align, if it aligns with your energy, that's one thing. But if it's outside of your, like, what your core beliefs and your, you're gotta have it or do not have it list goes, then then your portal's over here and you're over here.
Yeah. And what will you do to cross your morals to get it? Like, what will win, right? Your morals or your desire? So that is a dichotomy that what I think Psyche offers a good aid is to what I call, another coined phrase, because I'm corny. It's called scrub your sub. Scrubbing the subconscious of things that that's going to serve you and help you make those decisions. Because you mentioned something that like immediately perked up in my mind is core values. And that's what a lot of people, they come to me thinking like, oh, I have a confidence problem. I'm really shy, or I procrastinate. Well, usually I'm like, okay, we're gonna deal with that, and we go through our process to do that. And usually when you have a confidence issue or procrastination issue, it's a core belief that is not in line, that you are worthy or you have the adequacy. Maybe you were raised with siblings and you got compared to your siblings all the time, or you were in a single family, so you felt like, because I don't have two parents, I'm not worthy somehow, or you were adopted maybe. I mean, so many things could happen that makes your core beliefs a little off than what you think they are consciously. So to go a little nerdy here, if I may, go into the science.
Please do. I've always said we're missing a little science on this show, so it's fine.
So our subconscious runs everything. Like, it's telling our heart to breathe right now. It tells my pancreas how much insulin I need. It does everything, not just the thoughts. And that's something we might actually know, but we don't think about. And we are acting from our subconscious 95% of the day. And so we're only having brand new creative thoughts 5% of the day. So that seems like an unfair challenge already, right? Like, if you've got a bad subconscious belief set, or you've got some trauma, some just bad experience because you've lived life, now you're really got a lot going on repeat, not helping you. So that right there is why I also just love to talk about this, so you can have a better game, you can have better odds in life. And because these are, our subconscious is just being trained. It's just doing what it's told to do and taught to do. It's not personal. So you can go in there and change your subconscious thoughts. And another scientific foundational precept that I can put here to help people understand how all of this is, how does it really happen, is that the first 7 years of our life, we're in a brain frequency that's called theta. And theta is a frequency that's got a really long, open wave. So you are in programmable state the first 7 years of your life. So every second of that time frame is who you are. So if you took a quick inventory of some experiences you can remember, you might got a home run, and that really boosts your confidence to try new things. And you might have a courageous personality character, but maybe you're a person that were bullied or fell on the playground and was laughed at or something. I could go on and on what everyone's lives could have in its first 7 years that crazy thought is that 5, 6, 7-year-old is running your life right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is out there making big life decisions. Your little hurt self is making those decisions. So usually in a session, we don't go back and excavate your past to the point of like a therapy session. I always say Psyche is not a coaching session. It's not a therapy session. It's a transformation session. So I might ask a couple of questions just to make sure, back to that whole, is it procrastination or, being shy? Really, the core value is that you didn't believe you're worthy or adequate. So we can go down, I can ask a couple questions to make sure we can go there first, because a subconscious belief can affect so many things in your everyday life. Like I like to use the hands, like one subconscious belief that I'm not safe, for instance, will make you not try new things, will not make you trust people, like so many things that will hold you back because you don't feel safe. But if we do a subconscious belief change that you are safe, your world will change. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes the other way around, where you have a lot, oops, I can't get in the camera here. You have a lot of subconscious beliefs that affect one thing in life, and that's usually money or relationships, because we have a lot of programming in society telling us that money's evil. The only people that make it are the ones that step on the necks of everyone else. Or we have religion telling us that it's evil and that you should give it away and not have too much. So there's programming, not just in our first 7 years, but through our whole life, through repetition.
Well, it's unfortunately, it's like as you get to be an adult, it goes from those programmable years to now it's societal, like norms, I guess. But yeah. So with that, a couple quick things. I'm actually reading a book called The War of Art. It's by Stephen Pressfield. He came to fruition. He came to prominence because he wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance. If you've ever seen that or heard that, Matt Damon's in it, and so is Will Smith. It's a really good. I read the book too, but it talks a lot about that, like what actually you're fighting with procrastination specifically and stuff. And then the other part of that is, yes, we are dealing with in adulthood. You are dealing with a lot of the stuff that happened to you as a 6, 7, 8, whatever, 7, 8-year-old. But at the same time, that's both good and bad. Yes. Because I've made the assertion, like, when you're 6 and 7 years old, the world is wide open.
Everything's possible.
And you've got all these dreams of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to travel here, I'm going to live here, I'm going to have this type of family, all these stuff. And there's no limit because no one's sitting there going, you're thinking too big. It's just, but all this stuff. And I tell people, like, now look at your life today. Are you living the life? I mean, is your 6-year-old self, are they going to come to you right now and see your life and go, what are you doing?
Yeah, what did you do? You hijacked my life.
Because that's what a lot of people get into, is that dream and those ambitions and those aspirations that were younger, societal or situation or whatever has knocked it down, but you don't need permission to retool yourself. So those things are still out there. You can still make them happen, but you have to be dedicated, you have to be consistent, and you have to be intentional about, like, going through those things to make those changes. And I was reading a thing yesterday that said 1 year, if you are consistent, dedicated, and intentional about whatever change you want to make in your life, give it 1 year. And you can absolutely change the course of your life.
Oh yeah, like we all kind of look for these highlight reel lives, but all those moments came from a lot of small nagging choices, or standing up for yourself in micro moments. Like, I'm going to keep standing up for my dream. I'm going to keep doing what I know is best for me. And back to that whole, like, getting in tune with not just your mind, but your feelings. Cause that's when you'll know, I got to keep doing this. I got to, even when it defies logic, when there are people like, why are you doing it like that? Because there'll be so many different ways to do something. But I loved how you brought the subconscious as a hero in the show, because that's how I feel. When I first started learning Psyche, I did kind of see it as our nemesis. Like, oh, we got to overcome the subconscious. It's got 95% of the show. And I got this 5% piece, and I just felt it was a little unfair and had a perception that it was a war. But it's actually, no, it's a whole powerhouse behind you that is mostly good. Like, for instance, I don't have to sit here and think about how to talk and walk and do math. It's all in there. And my dreams are in there. So the subconscious is amazing. We just might have a little bit of smudges that we need to clean up and fix so it does work for us.
Yeah, you're very thankful for the subconscious and the whole breathing and heart beating thing. Like, let's say you go out on Friday night and have a one too many, you're thankful that you don't have to think about it. Yeah. Otherwise, Friday nights will look completely different from now on. So
exactly. I mean, I'm sure everyone can remember a moment where you've taken the same route to work over and over and over, and then you realize, I don't even remember taking all those turns. Like, how did I get here safely? That's the feeling of the subconscious when you're most aware of it. That's called autopilot. So that's one of those aha moments that you get to see how the subconscious operates. That I had 5 turns to get to work, and I only remember one of them. Yeah. Because you just go into that zone. So if you could have something working for you, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and that's a good way of looking at it, is you have to be able to, it's good to recognize that autopilot, but then if you're going to do like a self-evaluation, you have to make sure that your entire life isn't on autopilot.
Yeah.
And that's that point to where, you have that choice to make. Like, do you want to continue with your autopilot status quo? Everything is fine. I'm going to stay the course. Or do you aspire and have ambitions for something greater? Money's not bad. Success is not bad. Taking great vacations, not bad. Talking to your kids and your spouse all the time, like your friends, and not just like because you have to, that's good. Being fit, being healthy, being fit. I'm not saying like you're going to go run a marathon, but just be active. That's good. And you can make all of those choices that all of them might be completely different from what's autopilot, but just break that cycle of wake up at this time, do this, come home, eat dinner, watch TV, bed.
Yeah. It's monotonous.
5 days a week. Except for Friday, when I'm going to go to Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever. So,
and to your point, the whole year scenario with the subconscious, I talked about the first 7 years you're in theta, which is the programmable state. But how other ways are you programmed? That lifestyle you just described is programming at its best, because I always like to describe the mind as a beautiful field or meadow of grass with those nice, strong blades of grass. And you want to walk from one side of the field to the other, and you just go across. Well, those blades of grass just bounce right back up after you've trampled them and stepped on them to cross. You go 2 times, they're still going to probably pop right back up. But if you take that path 3, 4, 5, imagine weeks and weeks of the same path, you don't have grass there at all. You have made a groove. You have made a belief, a pattern that you're going to live by. And it's going to be hard. You can't always self-will yourself out of that. You have to take that concept we were talking about, the 1 year of a lot of many decisions to walk somewhere else, and you won't see the results right away. So that's how people get discouraged and impatient. This doesn't work, or I'm no good, I can't do this. So if you have reasonable goals that and see that mindset of the meadow, I'm just going to walk on the grass. I'm going to walk on the grass in this new way, So this is all how you can reprogram yourself through just your life, your actions and your choices. Like people use meditation, people use affirmations to try to retrain the brain. And those things work. They do take longer. They take a lot longer than Psych-K, but it is a tool that we have. Psych-K, you just had a session. It takes like 2 to 10 minutes to do and done.
Yeah. Yeah. And like what you're saying too, it's like, you know, we try to get people to focus because unfortunately American society, when you want to do something, it's, I want it now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why weight loss drugs are some of the most popular. And, you know, there's all this stuff, you know, these, you know, that's why people are still able to put on Facebook and advertise like, give me $10,000 and I'll turn it into $1 million through this system. And, you know, it's going to take 3 months, and they still get people to sign up, even though it's like, what, like there's no proof of concept here.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's that short-term focus, and you have to switch. And it is a mindset change to go from, I want something to happen immediately, to I want to take the steps now for the impact that it's going to have as I continue on through life. Right. You know, depending on where you're starting, you know, that, and depending on what your best life is in terms of your own personal stuff, that gap could be pretty big. Mm-hmm. But it's just, you got to focus on 1% better every single day. Yeah. And the best way I've heard it said is, well, Brandon Dawson said it. He works for, or he runs Cardone Capital for Grant, but he said, if you get just 1% better every single day, imagine this, by the end of the year, you're 37 times better of a whatever person or goal or whatever than you were when you started. And that so
breathes so much hope, right?
Yeah, it takes those, like you said, those micro decisions, those micro wins. They're cumulative. They start to add up.
Right.
And all of a sudden you'll be halfway through, and you won't even recognize who you were when you started.
I think another great strides. Yeah, and I think another great success principle is that to complement that planning, like, okay, this is the end goal. These are some steps I can take, and it's going to realistically take me this long. Having those realistic, what in most businesses, they call them SMART goals, right? Like you can measure them and everything like that. That's going to just help your mind. We have a conscious mind living through this too. We can't forget that part of the brain. You got to keep feeding it that look what we're doing. You know, let's measure it. Let's look back and track it. So that's the point I would say to add on to that, is to have a sense of awareness, to congratulate yourself, celebrate the progress, not always looking at the end result only. That's gonna get, for people like me, I'm very spontaneous and always in the now. But when you give me a long, like, we're going to go on vacation in 6 months, I'm like, tell me when it's 1 month before, because I'm just in the moment, and that just seems so far away. I'll get aggravated instead of like motivated. So you got to know yourself.
Yeah.
But I think that being aware of your progress is huge. A shot in the arm to keep going. You got to keep going. And I think to your now comment, to how society is very much get it now, don't wait. I know I have to undo programming myself to not be impatient, to just wait for the timing of things. It's been actually now fun to do. I see them as my opportunity portals, waiting when do I jump? But I really think if you changed your perception of now, we actually do want a now society, meaning just stay in the now, just stay right here in the now. Because our mind has the ability to go in the past and muck everything up, or go into the future and steal and rob your now.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even in, like, imagine like you're ready to go on a date to discover somebody and you're already wondering, is there going to be a match and be a
Yeah.
marriage?
I wonder what color flowers are going to get for the, it's like,
And you just miss that whole honeymoon period, right? You just miss all of getting to know each other and the nuances, seeing it as something good and figuring them out in ways I can make them feel good as well. You just jumped out of the now and got into the future, or you jump in the past. Well, remember that person did that to me, so I got to protect myself. And that's where the beliefs will come in and make you sabotage this very good relationship or this very good now moment because of you're in your past thoughts. So we got to scrub the sub.
Yeah, and I think a great way of doing it, I I do it about once a month. I would suggest you do it at least twice a year, is just kind of a self audit, right? Of everything that you've got going on, health, wealth, relationships, business, feelings. I mean, just everything that you've got going on. Where are you in relation to your goals and stuff like that? And part of that, doing the self audit, I think it's always a key thing. Like, think of your best life, whatever your definition of that is, like that's where you're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's where you are, and just build backwards. Like, start with, okay, if this is where I'm going, how do I get to close to it? How do I get to up here? And build your goal backwards, because sometimes it puts a great context on, this is what you need to do now to get what you want 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, depending on where you're at and where your goals are, it's going to take time, and Powerball is not a plan.
Yeah.
Let's clearly cover that.
Yeah.
But it takes time, but if you're making progress, you're getting closer every single day. That's the most important thing. So
I think that's a really good reason why people get coaches. Like, people have different reasons they go to coaches or different reasons why they don't. People have different reasons they don't go to therapy, and there are different reasons why they do, right? But if you do those audits, you can see what you need and know, because there's 4 pillars in life, right? There's finances, there's your career, there's family, there's health. Like, you can make those 4 pillars whatever you want them to be, but they hold up your life. And if one is in disarray or decaying, it's time to pay attention to that pillar. And if you haven't been able to do it successfully up to this point, maybe it's time for some intervention, some help, some support,
or
and
even a different
can help you do that.
And that's the thing. It's like, you may not be struggling with something that you necessitates, like, I need a coach for this, but maybe you're just not where you want to be or you desire to be, and you don't necessarily need someone to coach you to start you over. You just need a different perspective, someone to say, this is how I've done it, or this is what's worked for me, or this is what's worked for other clients. And it's just a different perspective, and it's a powerful thing. And like you said, a lot of the most successful people out there, they don't just have a coach. They've got like 6, for all different aspects of their lives. And it's not that they're completely useless without them. I mean, 5 of those 6 they might just have in their lives for a different perspective and a different take in a different way. Not saying that they're going to, utilize it, but it helps to hear other opinions and other ways to do it. There's, 15,000 different ways to do one thing.
Yeah.
Just because you do it this way doesn't mean that it's any more right or wrong than anyone else. If it works for you, great. but it always helps to hear and know of different ways to do it. So, all right, Lee. So I am going to hand over to you for a couple seconds and bring up your riseup.net and just tell people how they can get a hold of you and what you can help them with.
Yes, that riseup.net is my website to be able to learn more about Psyche. I have resources on there, videos. So if you're a visual person, or articles, they're all there so you can learn more about it. If in this time we couldn't explain everything that you might have curiosities about, or it's how you can book an appointment, a session with me. Sessions can be done virtually or in person. Neither one is more effective because I actually am facilitating you to go through the steps. So a session is 1 hour long, and we can accomplish a lot. We can reprogram a lot of beliefs in that 1 hour that you can just basically create a new life through these new beliefs. And a session is $150, and there's a way to book me on there. And or if you just want a discovery call, there's a little chat box. We can set something up if you have more questions in the way of that. My biggest question I'll just talk about now because it just came to my mind. A lot of people wonder if you're under hypnosis. I always like to make sure that is said. You're not under any kind of hypnosis. You're not going into any weird dimension where other entities can enter you. It is all neurological. We test your left and right hemisphere, and we reprogram your mind through different neurological approaches of whole brain state. So you are conscious the whole time.
So no walking out of the office clucking like a chicken. Got it.
No.
Why do they always do that?
I know.
All right, guys. And then for us as well at Project 9, just go.project9life.com. Go on there. It'll show you a couple of videos, and then it'll give you the opportunity to schedule a half-hour kind of introductory informational call with me. Make sure that I know kind of where you're coming from, where you want to go, and how I can help you. And if we're a match, then we'll get you guys going and watch you succeed and grow. So, but again, that's the website right there, and that's how you get a hold of us here. So, all right, Lee. So we've talked about a lot. So let's deal with some of because we kind of dealt with like what holds people back, right? From either venturing into Psyche or in, looking at some of the stuff. So let's kind of flip that a little bit and look at a lot of the positives. Like you said, with opportunity portals, and really, I mean, what do you think what would you say is the biggest benefit of having your mind aligned, like you said, and just everything in you kind of is refocused and realigned instead of out of whack or dealing with whatever that you're in your past. So what's the biggest benefit, both either personally, professionally, kind of anything like that? What have you seen?
I think the first and foremost thing I'll say, because I'm my own client as well, I'm always finding programs along the way. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a limiting belief. When you just say things that maybe your parents said, you're like, oh, that's not serving me. So I'm fortunate that I can go, I'll take care of that tonight. But what I think ultimately, like the basics, it gives you a peace and a clarity that you can't explain. Like, because before, you kind of were like Playpen from Charlie Brown, with that big cloud above your head that's just got all the squigglies in it. You like have a little bit of idea and a little connection with what it is, but it's all scrambled. So it unscrambles what you're really going for, what you really feel and think. Because if you have any kind of undertone of not feeling totally happy, you're like, I'm happy, but why do I always kind of reset to this and I got to ramp back up and talk myself into a good day. Those are just going to be beliefs that you have. So, or you have no clarity of how to get your purpose or vision, obtained. So that's the first thing I will say is it gives you peace and clarity that there's a lot of voices. We have social media. We have so much information coming at us and we're just not built for that. So it's a way to kind of know, this is my map. This is my journey. And then that's the inward. On the outward, you're going to express and show up in life accordingly. Like you're going to have more boldness. You're going to have more power to say no. You're going to be able to say yes with a yes and a no with a no. You're going to have that conviction in your life and your choices and not feel with the guilt. There won't be guilt attached to it or that reasoning that you talk yourself out of something. Because that subconscious is not doing that anymore to you. So your self-talk becomes a lot more positive and directive for you. And then go a step further in the 3D, you're going to get opportunities where you meet people or you get new jobs or you do things that you wouldn't allowed yourself to do. So experiences, it changes on all levels. I've had people, like I said, have fears. Like some lady, she wouldn't leave the house. After the session, she left the house. Like that's how immediate it is. It's not something that you have to keep practicing either. Like, oh, the belief you worked with me, do I have to put it on the mirror and keep saying it? No, it's in there. It's not going to fall out. And so it will always be there supporting you. It's your new subconscious belief. You're acting on autopilot for your best, whatever you fill in the blank, which you know you need help with. So I've helped people with PTSD from traumatic experiences. Imagine not having that hovering over you anymore.
Yeah.
So it happens. It helps in so many ways.
Yeah, and I think what you said about like Pigpen and everyone's got everything going on and it's all around. But I mean, I think clarity, when you can get clear of all of the noise and become your focus, your true authentic self on, you're not dealing with this, you're not dealing with this, you're the arrow, right? You're focused on this. When you get to that point, along comes a lot of other things: confidence, higher energy, different posture. You can see it from people that are like this to all of a sudden people are like this. And I've experienced it where someone would show up on week 3 and they would be engaged and they'd be present, but they weren't quite there yet. And then they show up the next week and it's a completely different person. You're like, I don't know who you are. What happened to Billy from before?
Yeah.
And because they finally get to that point of everything becomes aligned. Whatever they're striving for, it's no longer what they're doing, it's who they are.
They're being.
And they embrace this new you, this new them.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, they're 6 again. Their sky just opened wide open, and they're just like, I got this. Like, this is me now, and I'm going to keep on this path, but I need to know what else is out there and what's next. And all of a sudden, those opportunity portals, it goes from the one that's kind of like hiding out in the background to like they're just all in front and attacking, and like, you got to do this. And that's where that confidence comes in, like you said, where you can say no and it's a no.
Yeah.
But when you say yes, it's not a dip a pinky in the water. Like, yes, and you go with it. And because you've overcome that fear, and you don't look at those things as, what if I try it and I don't make it? You look at it as, well, what if I try it and it works?
It does work, yes. From whole other pinpoint.
How much more is that going to level up my life if I do this and it works? Because your confidence is there, and confidence is such a huge and can be very fleeting way of being. You know, sometimes depending on how strong your confidence is, I mean, it borders on cocky. You
Right.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
it does. But I'll tell you this: if you look at the most successful athletes in the world,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter what sport, you know, football, baseball, golf, whatever. But you know, those like just because I have kind of a little bit more knowledge about like a professional golfer, yeah, they are about as close to like just full of confidence, cocky as you can get,
Hmm.
because they know that there's only a few people in the world that can do what they do,
Right.
and they train, they put the work in. But when your confidence gets to that level, you, the world is it just opens up. Like you can do whatever you want, and you're going to have full confidence no matter if it's a yes or a no, that it's the right decision.
Yeah. It's the difference between a knowing and a believing. Like you can know things, but you don't act from your knowing, you act from your belief. Like what I believe, because our brains are made to protect us. You know, we have in our lifetime been chased by animals, and we've had to have instincts to survive. So our survival instincts still are there. They just interact in life differently. But a belief will conquer and make you move and do things way more than just some knowledge. And so, or just knowing, it's just data, right? And I kind of think of when you were talking about that, I was thinking of your Warren Buffett reference that he says no to 99%. That could appear cocky or that could appear clear. He's clear.
He's
And he's
very
also
clear.
and it also could be a humility. I know I can't do 99 other things well, but I can do this one thing well. I'm going to keep doing me.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's going to be distracting. That's going to water down my focus. So it's what's best for me, not best for you. I have to do that. So just that knowing, and that's what the belief. I mean, like when you believe you're the only one can do it, you act different than when you're like, I think I'm one of the best. It's a little
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm one of the best is one of the guys that's like, hey, he didn't finish last this week.
Yeah.
Whereas those guys that believe it, you constantly see them, you know, leading and winning all this stuff.
Yeah. And
But
that's why we focus on in Psyche core beliefs or belief patterns, because there's a lot of data in there you need, or it's not even making much change to you. It's just they're recording your life, and you need that for recall or what have you. But beliefs are strong. You act from them. You act from your beliefs. So you got to make sure that you're acting and from them that are supporting you. And that's another thing. People come to me sometimes, they don't really know what the beliefs are because they're subconscious. So I get it. You're like, something's down there not helping me out. You're
yeah,
like, what is it? Help me find it. Because I'm not having, so then I just say, where do you want change? Where do you want more or better or success or freedom? That's when we can go, oh, that's where you want it. So you have a belief that's not letting you get there or not letting you feel that or be that.
yeah,
So then just through a couple of questions, we find and we muscle test. We do some cool muscle testing to not even be guessing. We're not guessing or just pulling something out of the sky to put in there as beliefs. We're actually undoing a belief that doesn't work and putting in one that does. Because you can put in a belief that you want, not even have to find one that's not working for you, but then you're kind of neutralizing. It's like one of those Chinese handcuffs,
yeah,
like you're pulling it away, you got nowhere. You have to actually integrate them and then it will work for you.
yeah. And that's something that like as people get into this and they start to achieve these personal or levels of, you know, they start up leveling their life. One of the things and the cautions that you have to be aware of is a lot more is going to present itself to you.
Mhm.
And you just have to get comfortable being uncomfortable
Mhm.
with. You used to go through life and nothing presented itself. Now
Yeah.
all of this is presenting itself. And you have
Mhm.
to have the confidence to know, like, yes, I can do 10% of what's being presented. I'm
Mhm.
not being mean about it, but I got to say no to 90% of this because I'm one person. Like, there's only so many hours in the day, and I value my family, I value my friends, and I'm dedicating time to them, because even if you're focused on like your wealth or your health, it's a ripple effect. It has effects, as no matter which one you're focused on, it
Mhm.
will ripple into those other aspects of your pillars of life
Yeah.
even more. So, all right, Lee, we got about 30 seconds left. So wrap us up and get us out of here.
Well, I just want to invite you to reprogram your beliefs to support you. Have the beliefs that will have you act out and live your dreams.
Well, that was very well said. Lee, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for the show. Thank you for my
Welcome.
session before this. And I will follow up with you after I have that conversation today,
Yes.
because it's going to go much better than I thought. Exactly. All right, guys. Have a good afternoon. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.